Good morning, students! How are you today? I hope you're doing fine amidst this pandemic. But as they say, we should not stop learning because life never stops teaching. So, as a continuation of our topic last meeting, let us now proceed to our fourth lesson, which is entitled Perform Basic Maintenance. At the end of this lesson, I'm expecting you students that you will be able to first operate machine and assess its performance and clean and lubricate machine. Now let's proceed to our learning outcome number 1, entitled Operate Machine and Assess Its Performance. Are you ready? Yes, you're ready. Very good. Setting of sewing machine in its troubles. A treadle sewing machine works by foot action and doesn't require any electricity. Meaning, hindi na siya ginagamitan ng kahit anong electricity or may involvement siya sa electricity. If taken care of properly, an antique treadle sewing machine can sew a better stitch than its modern counterpart can. It takes some practice to keep your treadle machine sewing smoothly. But once you've mastered the foot action, you can enjoy sewing and getting a little exercise at the same time. Treadle sewing machine picture tour. So, as you can see from the picture, the first picture states the view of the cabinet with the sewing machine closed. Yan siya, yan yung itsura niya. Next picture, cabinet open and the machine in the up position. Yan. The machine. For more details, be sure to see the manual. Close-up of the bobbin winder. Note the heavy brass and the number of connections in this mechanism compared to today's machines. View of the end of the machine, tension mechanism, and thread guides. View of the back of the machine. Close-up of the back access panel. This has been damaged by rust, kalawang, but shows the detail. Close-up of the decal. Note the area in the red circle. The Japanese has remained intact, but the decal has peeled away, leaving bare metal. Metal Singer emblem and the machine's setting of sewing machines. Perfect machine stitching is easy to achieve if you set the machine properly. This involves threading the upper and lower parts of the sewing machine. The beginner in dressmaking must learn how to thread the head of the sewing machine as one of the first steps in becoming a competent operator. Threading of the machine. Each part of the threading mechanism on the head of a sewing machine has a definite purpose in guiding the thread from the spool to the needle. The thread must pass through the various guides in a given order so that the machine will sew properly the formed stitches. Order of the threading in the upper part. First, we have the spool pin. Second, upper thread guide. Third, between metal disc of tension. Fourth, thread take-up lever. Fifth, lower thread guide. And sixth, needle. So these are the steps. First, put the spool of thread on the spool pin. Second, bring the thread to the thread guide. Third, pull the thread between the metal disc of the tension. Fourth, bring the thread up to the thread take-up lever and raise it as it goes. Fifth, pull the thread down to the thread guide. Sixth, pull it through the lower thread guide. And seventh, thread the needle. Threading the lower part of LOCKSTITCH sewing machine or treadle sewing machine. Steps. First, remove the bobbin case by pulling on the bobbin case latch. Second, remove the bobbin from the case and wind the thread. Third, put the bobbin back to the bobbin case and pull the thread through the little slat at least 4 inches. Fourth, be sure that you hear the bobbin case inside the shuttle. Fifth, start the mechanism by rolling the balance wheel forward to get the thread of the bobbin through the needle. And sixth, pull the upper and lower thread together by 4 inches. Alright, so as you enjoy using your sewing machine, problems cannot be avoided. But knowing its causes is another challenging skill to develop. How can you classify these problems or troubles? How? So let us know how. Classifications of sewing machine troubles. If the sewing machine in your laboratory are kept in good condition and are carefully adjusted and properly threaded, not too many things can go wrong. But there are certain difficulties that occur during an operation so often. So you should know these minor and common problems, their causes and remedies. There are two classifications of sewing machine troubles, namely, first, minor sewing machine trouble. This refers to problems that arise involving incorrectly attached accessories or supplies, unadjusted tensions, or that requires a little dusting or oiling. Number 2, major sewing machine trouble. This involves replacing or removing damaged spare parts that made the sewing machine not totally functioning. So as you can see in the picture, we have the box is divided into three. So these are the common sewing machine troubles. To start with, machine trouble number 1. Machine runs noisily. Causes: first, insufficient oil, second, loose screw, and third, thread or dust clog in the shuttle race. Remedies: first, oil the sewing machine, tighten loose screw, and third, clean the shuttle race before oiling. Number 2, machine rotates heavily. Causes: too tight belt, insufficient oil, bearings or shuttle race is clogged with dust or thread. Remedies: change belt if already old. Oil the arm shaft, clean the shuttle race and bearing, then oil. Third, needle thread breaks. Causes: improper threading, tight tension, thread too coarse, needle blood set incorrectly, pressure foot not properly adjusted, poor quality thread, seam may be too thick or heavy, bobbin case turns, fabric is pulled forcibly, needle may be bent, size or need of needle, then tension. Remedies: first, check the threading, change the texture of the thread and attach the needle properly to the needle bar. Flat side of the needle should face the needle bar. Use correct pressure foot. Check if pressure foot is secured and properly fastened. Third, if seam is too heavy, change needle to correct size. Fourth, check the position of the bobbin case. Reset the shuttle race assembly. Fifth, change the bent needle. Sixth, to avoid needle bending, pull the upper and lower threads toward the rear of the presser foot after stitching and cut the threads. Seventh, don't force the fabric, just guide it. Eighth, change the size of needle. And ninth, adjust. Number 4, stitches skip. Causes: first, bent needle, dull needle or wrongly attached needle. Second, unmatched size of needle or thread to the texture of fabric. Third, no enough pressure on the presser foot. And fourth, threading may be incorrect. Remedies: first, change the needle or correct positioning. Second, change needle size and thread. Third, increase pressure on the presser foot. And fourth, check the threading. Number 5, common machine trouble. Stitches loop. Causes: first, threading may be incorrect. Second, dull needle. Third, improper threading. Fourth, unbalanced tension of the upper and lower threads. And fifth, defective thread take-up lever. Remedies: first, use blunt needle. Second, check the threading. If loops appear under the fabric, check the upper threading. Adjust the upper tension regulator. If the loops appear on the top of the fabric, check the lower threading. The thread may be inserted in the tension groove of the bobbin. Check also the latch spring of the bobbin case. Third, balance the tension of both threads. Fourth, change the thread take-up lever spring. Number 6, upper thread breaks. Causes: first, improper threading. Second cause, improperly attached needle. Third, bent or dull needle. Fourth, tight upper thread. Fifth, poor quality thread. And sixth, unmatched needle. Remedies: first remedy, correct threading. Second, attach the needle correctly. Third, change blunt needle. Fourth, reset the upper tension regulator. And fifth, use good quality thread and thread size or texture. 7 common causes or common troubles. Lower or under thread breaks. Causes: improper winding of the thread in the bobbin. Second, bent or dull needle. Third, poor quality thread, incorrect set feed dog. Fourth, bobbin does not freely turn. And fifth, too tight bobbin case spring. First remedy, winding the thread in the bobbin uniformly. Second, change the needle. Third, use good quality thread. Fourth, lower the feed dog if the fabric is thin. Raise the feed dog if the fabric is thick. Fifth, check if bobbin is clogged with dirt or thread. Sixth, loosen the adjusting screw of the bobbin case or adjusting the tension of the upper. 8. Seams pucker. Causes too long stitch length for the fabric. Tension is too tight. Size of the needle thread do not match. Too high feed dog adjustment. Too heavy pressure on the pressure foot. Remedies: adjust stitch regulator to correct length. Adjust the upper and lower tension regulator. Use appropriate size of needle and thread. Adjust the height of the feed dog depending on the thickness or thinness of the fabric. Lessen pressure on the pressure foot. 9. Fabric does not move. Causes: feed dog not in proper swing position. Stitch regulator not set on 0. Too tight pressure on the pressure foot. Remedies: first, adjust the feed dog to proper swing position. Second, adjust stitch regulator to desired stitch length. And third, adjust or add pressure to pressure foot by adjusting the pressure regulator screw. Number 10. Fabric jams in machine. Causes: needle may be too big. Throat plate. Remedies: change the size of needle. Needs round hole the plate. Standards for sewing machine operations. Observe while using or running sewing machine and list the things that you have noticed. By following correct procedures, you will make your work easier, more interesting, and challenging. Here are some pointers that you have to follow in manipulation of your sewing machine. First, start with the right tools and supplies. Have your needle thread, screwdriver, pins, and scissors ready for use. With tools at hand, you can start working continuously on your machine. Second, always maintain good working posture. Sit on your back slightly leaning forward. It can prevent body pains after working on your machine so that hindi sumakit ang inyong balakang at likod. So we should always maintain good working posture. Third, thread the sewing machine correctly. You can follow the guidebook if you have. This will save your time to get a correct threading. Refer to someone to check if you have threaded it properly. Be sure that the needle is properly set according to the directions for specific models. A properly attached needle will make your work without any trouble. So be sure that the needle is properly set para walang maging sagabal sa kung anumang dapat mong gawin. Fifth, set the stitch regulator according to project specifications and test the stitches for possible adjustments. 6. Check tension dials and adjust according to project requirement of the stitches. A correct adjustment on the tension dials will make perfectly sewn garment. So you should always check the tension dials. As you can see in the picture, that is the tension dials. 7. Turn power off for motorized electric machines when the sewing machine is not in use. This will save electricity and avoid possible minor accidents. So you should always turn off your electric machine so that we can avoid accidents and also it can save electricity. Number 8. Keep sewing tools. Dust the sewing machine, then put a little amount of machine oil in slots. Then we'll make the sewing machine available for the next user. So we can preserve its quality. So we should always take care of our sewing machine. Note, the control of sewing machine lie on your feet, not in your hand. So learn to start and stop the sewing machine instantly at a given point using this control. Lower the presser foot while sewing, but be sure to insert a piece of paper or fabric swatches so that the feed dog will not be worn out. Getting to stitch before you start, make sure the two threads are back in between the toes of your presser foot. Characteristic of good stitches. First, the length of stitch is proportional to the texture of the fabric. Second, the stitches are the same in length. Third, the stitches appear the same on both right and wrong sides of the fabric. Fourth, the stitching follows the intended lines smoothly and accurately. Fifth, there are no skip or broken gaps in stitching. Sixth, when retraced, it appears as one line of stitching. And lastly, the stitching has no tangle. How to make adjustment on the machine. There are two tension adjustments of the sewing machine, the upper and the lower. The upper tension controls the thread from the needle, while the lower tension controls the thread from the bobbin case. These tensions must be adjusted to suit various fabrics. If the tensions on both threads are properly adjusted, the threads will lock at the center of the material and form a correct stitch. The size of the stitches varies with the type of work being sewed. Thin materials require the short stitch, a light thread, a fine needle, and a tight tension. Heavier materials require a longer stitch, a coarser thread, a larger needle, and a less tension. Sewing machine needles become dull through hard usage and also through ordinary wear. Sometimes they become bent by improper use. The condition of the needle should be checked when sewing difficulties occur. A defective needle should be replaced by a new needle of proper size. A dull needle will show a flat shiny spot at the very tip when rotated between the fingers. The strength of a needle can be tested by rolling the larger end on a flat surface. Bent needles will wobble and straight needles will roll through. How to adjust tension on the needle thread. The stitch tension control determines the amount of tension on the thread as they pass through the machine. First, correcting a loose stop stitch. When the needle thread tension is too tight, the thread will lie straight along the upper surface. Lower the presser foot. Turn the small thumb nut at the front of the tension disc to the left or counterclockwise to decrease the tension. So as you can see the picture, first is this is the stitch that is properly balanced. Next is the bottom loose and the top loose. Correcting a loose bottom stitch. When the needle tension is too loose, the thread will lie along the other side of the material. Lower the presser foot. Check to make sure that the thread is between the tension disc. Turn the small thumb nut at the front of the tension disc or clockwise to increase the tension. Check the stitch on pieces of scrap material. How to adjust tension on bobbin thread. Number 1. Checking bobbin case. First, remove the bobbin from the bobbin case. Second, clean the inside of the bobbin case. Remove all particles of lint and dust with a small point stick. Note: if the tension spring is bent away from the bobbin case, or if the ends of the spring near the delivery eye are damaged, they should be replaced. Consult your teacher if defective parts are discovered. Number 2. Adjusting tension spring on bobbin case. The tension on the bobbin thread is controlled by adjusting the tension spring on the outside of the bobbin case. It is seldom necessary to change this adjustment once the tension has been properly set. The operator will usually be able to correct the stitch by varying the tension on the needle. Correcting a loose bobbin thread. If the tension on the bobbin thread is too loose, the needle thread will lie straight along the upper surface of the material. First, tighten the tension. Second, turn the regulating screw in the tension spring to the right. Third, test the tension. Thread the bobbin case. Hold the end of the thread and allow the case to hang freely. And fourth, check stitch on pieces of scrap material. Correcting a tight bobbin thread. If the tension on the bobbin thread will lie straight along the underside of the material, first, loosen the tension. Turn the regulating screw in the tension spring slightly to the left. Second, thread the bobbin case and test the tension. And third, check stitches and pieces of scrap material. How to regulate the length of the stitch. The length of the stitch is regulated by the stitch regulator on the front side of the head. First, move the stitch regulator downward to lengthen the stitch. Second, move the stitch regulator upward to shorten stitch. And third, check the length of stitch on pieces of scrap material. Note: for normal stitching, set regulator at 10 to 12 stitches per inch or at the number 3 for metric scale machines. How to regulate the pressure on the material. The pressure on the material is regulated by adjusting screw on the top of the machine. First, turn the adjusting screw to the right to increase the pressure. Second, turn the adjusting screw to the left to decrease the pressure. Third, check the pressure by stitching on pieces of scrap material of the same weight. Note: a pressure that is too heavy will cause the machine to run hard and will leave the print of the feed on fine materials, as you can see on the picture. Now let's proceed to learning outcome number 2. Clean and lubricate machine. Care of. So now, how to clean and oil your sewing machine. Cleaning and oiling your sewing machine is basic maintenance that bits of lint, thread, dust, and even fabric can get stuck in your machine. These make work harder and can even jam your sewing machine. Clean your machine to fix this, help the machine to last longer and perform more smoothly. If you sew regularly, problems can use sewing machine oil to help the moving parts function smoothly. You should clean and oil your machine after finishing any large project as well as any time you suspect it is having problem. Instructions. Prepare the needed tools and supplies in cleaning the sewing machine. Remove the needle if there is any. This will prevent the cleaner from pricking fingers during the cleaning process. Faceplate, pressure bar, needle bar, thread take-up lever, lifter. Unscrew faceplate and keep it in a drawer while cleaning. Brush dust away, then put a little amount of oil while rotating the balance wheel so inner parts can be accessed. Put back the faceplate in place. So this is as a faceplate, as you can see in the picture. Cleaning and oiling your sewing machine is basic maintenance that can help the machine to last longer and perform more smoothly. If you sew regularly, bits of lint, thread, dust, and even fabric can get stuck in your machine. These make work harder and can even jam your sewing machine. Clean your machine to fix these problems and use sewing machine oil to help the moving parts function smoothly. You should clean and oil your machine after finishing any large project as well as any time you suspect it is having a problem. Upper tension or disc, spring, and dial. Remove outer bolt, tension dial, disc, and disc spring. Second, leave each part in your front table following its disassembling for easier assembling. Third, brush dust and wipe with absorbent cloth with oil. And fourth, assemble by following the laid parts in your table. Lower mechanism or rotary oscillating hook. First, remove bobbin case. Second, fasten sides of oscillating hook. Third, remove dust with lint brush. Fourth, put a little amount of machine oil in moving parts. And fifth, return spare parts in place. Other minor parts. First, remove entangled threads between head and balance wheel. Second, brush accumulated dust in the treadle joints connecting the band wheel. And third, clean gummy dust on the band wheel. Fourth, after all parts were dusted, lubricate all joints and oil slots with good quality oil. Fifth, wipe off all surplus oil, then put a piece of absorbent cloth under the presser foot for dripping oil. Note, when the machine is thoroughly cleaned and oiled, run it slowly for several minutes to allow the oil to work on its moving parts. Place a scrap of fabric under the presser foot and lower the needle to absorb excess oil. Occupational health and safety procedure in sewing machine maintenance. Cleaning and lubricating a sewing machine is quite a messy task. Personal care should be observed during this activity, of course. The following health and safety precautions should be practiced at the shop or at home. First, wear personal protective equipment. This prevents your clothing from being tarnished by oil and dirt. Para hindi mamansyahan. Be sure to wear gloves to avoid accumulation of oil and dirt in your nails and palms. Wearing a protective eyeglasses is optional. Depende na yun sa'yo kung gagamitin mo yung protective eyeglasses. Second, remove the upper belt or turn power off before oiling the sewing machine. Of course, you should always turn power off when not in use, to avoid also accidents. Third, when a chemical or small spare parts get into your eyes, call the attention of your teacher at once. Fourth, do not remove any safety device from any machine. Fifth, be sure that all screws are well lightened before starting the machine. 6. Make sure that no screws or tools are left on the floor to avoid slipping. 7. Wipe dry spilled oils on the floor to avoid accidents. So, dapat nating i-wipe yung mga spilled oils or katong mga natagak ng mga oils na tagak-tagak. Number 8. Assign colored tags for a newly maintained sewing machine. 9. Provide a small bin for your garbage when performing this job. Have a separate cabinet of storage for tools and supplies for sewing machine maintenance. 11. Always refer to the sewing machine service manual for accurate application or procedure. Note: a sewing machine is an equipment that needs care and cleaning. Keep it dusted and lubricated at least once a week or more often if the machine is in constant use. So we should always we should always take care of it and clean it. We should always dust it, kuha na tong abog and lubricate it, butang na tog oil once a week or more kung permi siya ginagamit. Gets? Any questions? Clarifications? Violent reactions? None? Okay, then let's move. Alright, for queries, feel free to contact me with my cell phone number 0950 4635 996 and visit our link https www.guidef.com/e-learning for your assignments and activities. Thank you so much. Have a good day, students.